Everybody hear us loud and clear. What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. And how are we doing today?
How are we doing? Doing all right. Doing all right. Took some losses today. Probably overtraded a little bit, and that's what happens when you overtrade. You take losses. But I learned a lot today. Today was a learning experience for me today. I think you said it, Coach Paul. You never stop learning as a trader. Today I learned a lot. How was your day?
All right. Took some losses, some wins. I really didn't do much. Um, so it looked like it was gonna be a big day last night. Um,
Yeah, it did.
I think tomorrow, but tomorrow's Friday already.
Weeks go by like seconds.
So and then in front of a 3-day weekend, I hope everybody has the hours for Monday. If not, I'm sure we'll post it tomorrow. Um, but in front of a 3-day weekend, there's a lot of things sitting on the sidelines. Um,
Yes, there is.
so let's begin.
Let's begin. Welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this session is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. Want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay, been coaching at Topstep for 2 years, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce.
Yeah, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep for 2 years. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some experiences, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Good stuff. Shout out to Hogue. I was talking to Hogue in the green room today before lunchbox trading. He said he's been Topstep for 14 years, coming up on 14 years. Uh, that's pretty awesome to see. Someone sticking with the company for that long kind of tells you how he feels about the company. So shout out to John Hoagland. All right,
Sh-
go ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, all right, let's take a look at the news. Pretty quiet day. We did have jobless claims come out this morning. Where is that? Right here. Bunch of numbers coming out this morning, but really, again, not affecting the markets. Jobless claims came in at 1.903 million. Forecast was 1.8816 million. We had a S&P Services PMI, manufacturing PMI numbers come out as well. 52.3, forecast was 51, and for the manufacturing number, it was 52.3. Forecast was 49.9. Existing home sales came in at 4 million. Forecast was 4.1. We had a nat gas number as well, which did set up a pretty nice trade in natural gas. I short armed that one, but that's okay. And I read the jobless claim. That was continuous jobless claims that I read. Initial jobless claims, 227,000. Forecast was 230. Anything else you got on the news, Coach Paul?
Well, did pass the big, beautiful tax bill.
Okay.
And that's a relative statement. Um, I think that there was some happened in the middle of the night. Um, Bonds actually rallied a little bit off of that news. I think that was just a relief rally, but we'll see how we go forward from that. Um, but the geopolitical winds are still swirling. Um, and we'll see this in front of a 3-day weekend. Um, it's there's history on 3-day weekends of major things happening. So I think the market was a little subdued. Um, the news wasn't that great. Of so I don't know. My feeling is tomorrow we're going to get hit a little bit, but that's a feeling. But other than the news than that, I don't, what do we have for tomorrow?
On the calendar for tomorrow, it is pretty quiet. We got new home sales, Canadian retail sales, and that is about it. A couple Fed speakers, but pretty quiet on the news for tomorrow.
All
So
right.
we'll wait for a headline, unplanned headlines. There are 35 different markets we can trade with Top Step accounts. And today, to the downside, we had silver down 1.44%, heating oil down 1.45%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, at 1.93%, consistently in that top three. To the upside, we had cattle up 0.83%, soybean meal up 1.5%, and micro Bitcoin, our biggest percentage mover to the upside at 2.23%. Spot Bitcoin making all-time highs. Futures didn't yet, but it was pretty close. To round out our big four, we might have to start putting micro Bitcoin in the big four. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe replace crude oil. Uh, crude oil down 1.28%. The S&P down 0.03%, pretty much flat. Gold down 0.66%, and the Nasdaq up 0.14% to round out our big four. Uh, we talked about the daily a lot so far. We are still in this daily range. The markets haven't gone anywhere. Got above this 200 moving average, Coach Paul, on the Nasdaq, and we've kind of just stayed here.
Curling back, and you know what's coming up? That yellow line is coming up quickly. Um, it's going to become to a junction. Um, this correction, though, it's curling. So do we get today was well, kind of we had a small range really. Um,
Range
but
on the day, high to low was 200 and about 90 points. Average true range in the Nasdaq is about 480.
yeah,
We'll call it close to 500 points. So,
on less than average volume.
yep,
Um, well, still above the 200. See if it can hold. Um, and it looks like the tax bill did not send this market rocketing, we could say. Did finish a little bit higher, but not a kind of weak action on
yeah,
light volume. Um,
not a whole lot going on. Yesterday, we did see an above average volume day. High of the day today was pretty much in the Nasdaq, pretty much 50% of yesterday's range and rejected up there, not convincing enough buyers to kind of trade back through yesterday's selling. And here we are, right? Lower end of this range. We've had a couple of below average range days recently. So you got to expect that there's an outsized day to the other side coming at some point. Um, Probably when we get a headline or something like that. But we're not going to stay in this consolidation forever. So market feels like it's just building up momentum for whatever that next move is. We talked about that a lot so far this week. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. We have it's Frank S in the chat. Shout out to Frank S. I know you were looking for 21,365 as your target for the long. We're long from 21,167, I believe. So you got almost 200 points in that trade. Shout out to you, Frank. Let's look at last night's open. This white line up here. What is that?
that's the high of the day. So
That's
you know, it's interesting. There's the candle. There's our new candle, the bond auction candle. I
yep.
saw it was big news on the Twitterverse, but you heard it here first, right? No. Um, half is that halfway, just about 200 bar moving average.
It would have
We
gotten
did that.
halfway if it wasn't for that 200 moving average sitting right there.
Yes, boy. Um, I think maybe that's why it feels really heavy to me. Um, so very, but like you said, the range was subdued.
Yep.
Um, the it, that half hour bar is bigger than today's range. I
And
think.
we
I mean,
could not close inside of it, right? So the market tried, right? It had an opportunity, buyers had an opportunity to trade back through this imbalance, and we didn't even get to 50% of it, right? We hung out the lower extreme of it. Why are we marking out this candle? Like you said, coach, this is our new candle. We like to, we had the it's okay to buy candle. We had the Liberation Day candle. Uh, that reaction yesterday in the Nasdaq and in all the equities, a 2% down move in about a half an hour uh, was significant, right? And we're seeing the market's response to that range so far. There were some real sellers in here, and so far they're not buying it, right? Can close back inside this range, so this is a pretty significant candle.
Yeah. Yeah, this market feels like it's got a 14-point lead with 2 minutes to go, and it really to make new highs. Can that happen?
Could it make new highs? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Was making a Knicks reference there, coach. I don't
Oh,
know.
I missed that. Sorry, I was reading something in the chat. We don't do any Nick slander on this show.
Well, well, it's not slander.
Oh, what did I miss? What did I miss?
Well, no, I was just saying, it looks like there's a 14-point
Oh, yeah,
deficit
I got you.
for the Bulls to get going.
Yeah,
Only a miracle, 5 threes in 2 minutes.
it was like the resurgence of Reggie Miller. Uh,
Yeah, it truly was.
I think every New Yorker wanted to throw up watching that game. I have friends that are not even Knicks fans, like in a group chat. They're just like, "What is happening?" Friends that don't even watch basketball, right? But you're New York bias, right? We want to see New York win, and that was tough. That was tough to watch. Tyrese
Fl
Halliburton doing the Reggie Miller choke symbol. He's
Too
gonna
soon.
he's gonna eat that. He's gonna eat that. Right. You got to respect the game at the end of the day. And if you hit a three, great, go ahead and celebrate. But too soon on that celebration. I think the series is over. The Knicks are gonna win in six. You heard it here. Uh, because Tyrese Halliburton did what he did there.
As he looked at Reggie Miller
Oh yeah, he pointed right at him.
doing the game, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Having Reggie Miller announce that game is just like, they say people make the argument that sports are rigged and it's a story. It's a billion-dollar business, trillion-dollar business, whatever you want to call it. Uh, and I don't appreciate that as a native New Yorker. Gonna say that I
where
don't
was Spike
appreciate it.
Lee?
Uh, I think he was there. I'm sure Spike
Uh,
was there. I'm sure Spike was there. But yeah, I don't appreciate that. But this is not a basketball show, even though you see the
uh,
basketball in the intro to this, and you ask why. It's because me and Coach Paul are both basketball coaches and extreme fans, I guess you can call it. But let's get back to these markets. All right, so we pretty much just chopped around all day. Let's take a look at a shorter time frame. I'm going to go to a regular trading hours chart on the 3 minute in the Nasdaq, and did a quick close of we had a small little gap up. If you look at just regular trading hours, small little gap up, closed it and rallied to chop around, held that opening range for most of the day, but really no urgency in this move at all. We can see all the selling that came in yesterday, and we're just respecting that range up near these two 21 330s. Shout out to Baron. Took a nice trade during fast markets this morning. I think he got long right around 21,160. Probably seeing this, something similar here, and had a target, I believe, of 330s, and took a pretty nice trade there. Anything else you have on the equities, coach?
um, Nothing much else. I just, like I said, this buying was weak after that reaction. It's not like there was bargain buying that we had a month ago. This was uh, a weak buying.
Yep.
As we could see, but someone mentioned at the dump on the close.
Yeah.
And,
A lot of
so
people
it's
asking about that.
well, let's look at the volume in that chart right there after the opening. I mean, it was all light volume under the average. There was nothing standing out until the close. That means this buying that no one wanted to take this home. It was intraday buying, speculative buying that didn't hold up as we came to the close. So that's what that was. Went right back to the bottom of the opening range. That's why it's what I call it very weak.
Agreed.
Now we're heading into a 3-day weekend. There are a lot, like we talked, there's a lot of things swirling in the background. Um, but I see headlines about the I haven't seen in a long time about bonds.
Yeah,
Um, we talked about it extensively yesterday, and I think that's kind of waking people up to the fact that there's a problem here. Um, but in the equities, very light buying, kind of you could say just short covering or
yeah.
weak
It
buying.
wasn't
Put
convinced
it,
buying.
there you go. Put it all under that file. Um,
And I
and
think kind of look at what we've been seeing recently, right? Anytime we call out any of these bigger orders, for the past 2 months, I haven't seen much on the bid as far as larger orders go. A lot of it has been on the sell side. Uh, there you need volume for the market to move, and if we're and heard Hogue say it as well. We heard Dalton when he was on saying maybe the adults aren't in the room. Uh, if you don't have a large presence of buying in here, think about who's in this move, right? If you're a day trader, right? Because this is probably just us trading against each other. If I'm a day trader and I buy up here, it's coming into the close of the day, and I'm not getting any price action in my favor, eventually I got to sell. So this is all just low volume price action. I wouldn't read much into this sell off because it wasn't a major sell off, right? We just came right back to prices where the market started. It looked major, right? Because if we zoom in like this, it's like, oh man, what just happened? But that wasn't. This is different. This was a reaction to something. This here was just the market needed to settle for the day. And there was a question, what is your take on NQ for tomorrow? Uh, Same as it was today. We're in this range, and unless something happens, I don't see us really getting out of it. Um, you know, we are at the lower extreme of this range. I do have, and Coach Ray and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Sorry, this morning. Uh, some of the targets down here, 20,700s first, and then 20,500s. Those are the targets. But even then, for us to move to the downside, we still need volume, right? Or we're going to stay in this range. Yesterday was a after that bond auction was we talked about this yesterday, Coach Paul. One of the first days in a little while that we had above average volume to the sell side, and we held that today. So
yeah, we're not recovering from it.
right. So we will see. You have a take for the equities going into tomorrow, Coach?
I think the same type of day.
Agreed.
Although unless some news comes out, it could break hard, but same type of day
Same
going into
type of
the
day.
3-day weekend.
Trade
S-
what the market tells you in front of you because it could change. It could change. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Coach.
I just to answer that too, Chauncey. Um, will we have thin volume? That's my feeling. That's my guess. But like I said, anything can happen. Anything can happen, but I don't see big, unless some news event comes out, any big buying coming in.
Right. Alex, what does everyone mean when we say the grown-ups aren't in the room? We're just not seeing a ton of big directional volume right now, right? To say that the market needs to go anywhere. It's a lot of accumulation. And we say maybe the adults aren't in the room. I think they're always there. It's just what are their plans? Because we've seen some bigger offers trade in this market. I think the adults are just letting the kids play for now in this range while they accumulate a position. That's what's really happened. The adults are never fully out of the room. They're always watching. Like if you have kids, like it's probably my kid crying, right? You you know what it sounds like. So they're just watching and waiting the next move. All right, let's move over to gold unless you have anything else on the equities, Coach Paul.
That's all I have.
All right. Let's let's take a look at gold on a daily chart. What are we looking at here?
Well, much the same correction. It looked great by the way, nice trade last night
Thank you, sir.
on slow markets. Still holding a 20-day moving average on the daily. We had a little correction today. Did we settle right on the 20-day?
Yeah,
Um,
pretty much right at it.
Sideways action. Still, I'm still friendly. This trend is still up. Last night, and I'll give that to you. What you saw, I thought we'd get more out of that, but um,
Yeah, I thought we would too. I was looking at I think 3360s was the target I was looking at. But let's take a look at the trade last night. I'm still liking this market to the upside as well. We kind of got stuck at 3300s today, which major psych level, whole number kind of level, and just chopped around there for much of the New York session. But last night uh, presented a decent. Make sure that was last night. Yep. All right. So decent long opportunity last night in gold. Uh, See from that first 30 minutes. You know, once the Asia session starts, which is 7 p.m. Central Time, it's kind of where we left that range. Dakota and I were talking about this because slow market starts a half hour into that Asia session, right? So 7:30 Central Time. Uh, so with this picture kind of here, I wanted to buy gold. We see VWAP starting to leave that range, but by the time we started, we're so close to that. What we've been seeing is at 8 p.m. Central Time, there's a spike in volume. Uh, so wanted to take the long there and kind of just waited. Where yes, this is a coach, this is the timing and location question, right? This is a location that I want to be in. But if I understand that there's a spike in volume that's going to come in and kind of do a 50-50, I'd rather just sit out of that, let that kind of wash out, almost like, trading into a New York session open in the equities. Just letting that initial volume play out and then go from there. Uh, but once we held kind of this opening range high, Globex opening range high, and from that 8 p.m. Central Time candle, we had VWAP leave pretty early. That was the trade from there. So I don't remember exactly where I got in, but it's kind of something that we see all the time. It's just waiting for that 8 p.m. volume to come in.
yeah, that's when Hong Kong exchange opens, I believe.
I think it's Shanghai here, and then Coach Hoop had sent I think a half hour after this. It's Hong Kong. Um,
Okay.
so Asia markets coming in. They came in and bought gold today, and then the trade there was just kind of get in the flow with them, see how far they were able to take it. On a daily, let's look at where the target was on that trading, kind of where we turned around. I was looking at this candle right here. Some traders pointed out that we closed a gap. This was a weekly open gap from last week. We closed that gap, and this was the candle prior to the gap, and this is why this is where my target was up near 3340s initially. I was looking higher to see whether or not we can close above this. We can kind of see where it went to uh, and turned around from there. So this was a trade where it was just like, manage what you have in front of you. Yes, I want this to go to all-time highs, but it's not where the market is willing to go. And kind of happy we got out, Coach Paul. I know you said you took this trade as well. Uh,
Well, I got 2 to 1,
Nice.
and it was barely just got there. Um,
So were you using the Globex range?
yes, I was the
Okay.
open.
Okay.
Um, and when I got out, I'm like, oh well, maybe it's gonna keep. And we've discussed this before. To me, on a day trade, a 2 to 1 trade is is very reasonable.
Yep.
Um, if I could get a 2 to 1 trade every day, it's like the proverbial penny.
Right.
But um, yeah, and there was a little bit of there was some urgency in that in the half hour.
Yeah, there was.
So I mean, but I did not expect it to turn around and collapse like that for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
so we talk anything can happen. Um, and boy, did it turn around. Um, right back to the 20-day moving average. So let's watch it tonight again.
It's been a great market. Gold has been a fun market to trade. You say it all the time, Coach Paul. Micro gold is a great market to trade right now because the ranges, unlike the Nasdaq, let's see, daily ranges in the Nasdaq we see kind of contracting a little bit. Let's take a look at what the average ranges are in gold. Let me make this ATR indicator just a little more visible here. Still staying pretty high, right? On its highs. Average daily range in gold right now is 80 points. So there's a ton of opportunity here where we're not seeing that range contract, even though the market may not be moving as directional as it has been before. Um, so I like it. Uh, Anything else you have in gold, Coach?
No, same story, different day.
Same story, different day. Let's take a quick look at platinum because this is a story in itself. Not a lot, not a market a lot of us trade probably, but we're coming up to the reason I want to bring this up. We're coming up to an area where on a higher time frame, we're looking at a daily chart here in platinum. We've rejected a couple of times, so uh, we've seen copper recently make a new all time high and then kind of blow off top reverse. Not saying I'm expecting the exact same here in platinum. We can see the volume picking up on this move to the upside. And when we talk about volume correlating with a move, this is what you want to see, right? If the market is moving up, this is convinced buying in platinum. Now, whether they're buying to open or close a position, they could be shorts getting liquidated. Either way, there's volume coinciding with this move. Um, but we are coming up to an area of potential rejection. That doesn't mean this is a blind short up here. I don't want to fade this kind of momentum because they're buying it for a reason. I'm just looking at a chart. Uh, but this is a market that's been presenting great opportunities as well, Coach Paul.
Let's look at the half hour.
I think today was pretty quiet, which we're coming up to those highs.
Well, I was just going to say that. Let's watch that.
There you go.
If so, tonight, um, well, that was today's range.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. What kind of candle is that?
On the daily,
Yeah.
not as much of a doji. It kind of
Huh.
looks a little bit more into. Hold on there. That chart doesn't look right. Hold on a second. Why does that look? I guess so. Yeah. I guess that is it.
Well, mark today's low. If it's
Uh,
going to switch, um, it's got to hold that. If it doesn't, we're back in. Like you were talking, we're at resistance. It's slowing down at resistance. Can it do it in front of a 3-day weekend? Sure, but I don't. I think it's a less probability. Um, hmm. I'm not trading platinum, but on a technical basis, against that resistance, it needs to power through. It can't just hang around here.
right.
Um, we look at a longer term chart of platinum. That is the anti-trend. Um,
Yeah. This looks like a blind sell. That is not financial advice. Because this is a
what
pretty
is that?
strong weekly candle, but the
Yeah,
air gets
you
kind of
know
thin up here in platinum.
it does. I still struggle with this. Is when I started many decades ago, platinum was twice the price of gold. Platinum was actually about the same price when gold got to 800 and said, "Oh my God, gold's at 800." Well, eventually went back down to 225. But where the Bank of England sold its balance of its gold. Um, Google that, read that crazy story. Anyway, now it's a third of the price. So I see someone saying platinum is highly manipulated. Yeah, most of the supply. It's an industrial metal. Um, and the biggest suppliers are South Africa and Russia. So, um, manipulated prices. Yeah, but I did some research on it yesterday. I guess there is some concern on production, but it's got a lot of work to do for me to get really bullish.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
The opportunity to get bullish was down here.
yeah, it kind of looks like crude oil.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, which again, if you're a range bound trader or a swing trader, not financial advice, but patterns are patterns until they break, and this has been the pattern in platinum for a couple of years now. All
All
right.
right.
Talking about from a market that has a ceiling to one that does not. Bitcoin, it just goes up. It just goes up. That's a weekly chart. There's a weekly chart in Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. 8 if you want to count whatever that was to the upside. Making new all-time
So
highs in the spot market. Go ahead, coach.
that kind of structure, that is just going to be a triple top. It doesn't have that. I mean, last time we did this, look, 1, 2, 3, we blast through those old highs. We
Sure.
gap open. It was probably that Sunday gap.
Yep, it was.
If that form holds
This
true,
was the
we're in for
election
a
gap.
big red. Was it?
Yep.
I just get, what do I have to say? I mean, a broken record. I'm not. While I've been involved in crypto uh, since basically the beginning,
Okay.
I don't trade meme coins. Actually, I don't trade the cash Bitcoin because I can leverage it with micro Bitcoin futures. I don't have to deal with all the things that you have to deal with in keeping a secure
Yeah.
purse. Um, but that said, as a futures trader, I love the way it trades. That that pattern, boy, I think we gap and go.
Long weekend. Bitcoin doesn't care about weekends. Bitcoin doesn't care about anything but going up.
Yeah.
And I could imagine that if futures are closed until Tuesday and there's nothing else to trade and the stock market is closed Monday, yeah, we might be a lot higher. Might be a
Um,
lot higher.
yeah. Uh,
Uh,
b- and this isn't investment advice. This is the way I see it um, on chart patterns.
Technicals apply wherever you apply them. Last night, it's open,
Yeah, that
urgency,
was
buy it. Uh, futures is
that
a
was
half day Monday, closes at noon central. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for that, Andrew. Half day on Monday, but Topstep TV will be off on Monday. Besides
is there
Dakota doing slow
trading
markets.
Sunday night?
Sunday night, yes.
Yes.
Sunday night, yes. Yeah. Technicals apply. Buy them. That's what they did last night. All right. Anything else on micro Bitcoin, or do you want to move on to another market, coach?
Bonds.
Let's take a look at the bonds. Feel bad for crude oil. We just neglect crude oil now, but that's okay. It's not doing a lot. Let's take a look at the bonds on a daily. I'm on a 30-year. We talked about this yesterday on the daily. What are we looking at here, coach?
Oh, a little bounce off the bottom. We had some heavy selling overnight that held. Looks like a dead cat bounce. Let's look at the half hour. Um, yeah, look at that. Before that was there a report at 7:30 because it kind of rallied
Yeah,
off
it
of
was
that.
jobless claims.
Okay, jobless claims.
Really when the day started.
Yeah, selling. It was bad selling. We've got a dead cat bounce. We have that auction candle. That looks like a target. Can we close over it? Time will tell. Um, I would personally, I think it's going to fail. Um, I don't know, but interesting. That was now there's a J trade, isn't it? Exhaustive selling.
This one at this bottom right here.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Uh, this is a. I know everyone's been saying bonds are not supposed to move like this, but this is a. It seems like a great trading market right now. It seems like a great set and forget kind of market to
yeah.
trade on, accept the risk. If the 30 year is too expensive, which makes sense, 31.25 a tick, you could go all the way down to the 10 year, which is moving similarly. And
We don't get we don't get that same J trade, did we?
no, we didn't. But I'm still looking at this jobless claims candle here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's look at the 5 year because that went first.
Okay, 5 year went first. Okay. Here's the. I'm gonna mark out two candles. We'll map out the auction candle and then jobless claims this morning, which was pretty much right inside that, so we don't need to mark that out. See it holding. Uh, we call
Yep.
this the area of interest. Flat VWAP says range bound market. We held the low of that range. That's
Um. Now there was talk yesterday that the Fed bought some of that um auction yesterday because they had to. Um. That would reflect short-term rates are much steadier because the Fed can affect short-term rates. It can't affect bonds. Um, right to the 200 and a 5. Hmm, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Um, I'd look to sell it myself. Yeah, look at the difference between that and the bonds.
30, 30 minute on the 30 year. Got a little room to go to that 200. Yeah, this looks a little more friendly to the downside. Uh, what does a dead cap bounce mean? After an extended period of price action to the downside, it is just a bounce. A bounce in the market that is somewhat hollow. A lot of times you'll see it happen with no volume, where it may just be short covering because you got to close your position to take profit at some point, and we're seeing it happen off the lows of this move. Uh, gap fills. Chauncey, are we eyeing the gap not far below in the equities? Andrew in the chat sending us over this question. Uh, I start eyeing these gap fills when we get close to them, right? In the Nasdaq, if we get to within 150 points of that gap, then I'll start thinking about it. Before that, we are, you said gap not far below. We're still almost 4% above that gap. If I'm thinking about filling that gap for a day trade and we aren't close to it, that could keep me out of getting into a long because I think this gap needs to fill. We could leave we could leave this alone and never trade it again, right? What if the market just rallies from here and never trades it again? So as we approach it, I'll think about it. But right now, I'm going to be honest with you, Chauncey. I really didn't know that this gap was down here or pay attention to it until Coach Ray brought it up during the opening call, and then you mentioned it again here. What about you, Coach?
I'm not big on
Yep,
gaps. Sunday night gaps, I think are more important. But gaps usually get filled, but they don't have to.
yep. That gap is very telling. But if you're a gap fill trader and you have a strategy to trade it, get to it. Get to it. Gina's Genie has a question, a technical question. Do you keep your overnight VWAP the next day, or do you anchor VWAP at the New York session? Both. Both. I will normally my charts look like this normally. I have VWAP anchored to the New York session, which is that red one, and then I'll turn on this other one, which is green, and I'll leave them both on. Today wasn't, there wasn't much of a difference between the two. Some days, like I think it might have been yesterday. Nope, really no difference. Some days when we gap down in the equities, what I'll look for is to see whether or not how this New York VWAP responds to the overnight, right? If we are much lower in the equities and then New York VWAP crosses above it, tells me aggressive buyers, and I look to get in that trend. But I'll lead you both. I'll leave on both. Uh, Todd B says, I overtraded and got smoked today. All my fault. I overtraded, but was there actually something different about price action today? No trend, no volume. Was it all in my head? Uh, I'll tell you why I overtraded. Because I was looking for more than what the market was willing to present in the moment. I get chopped up in range bound markets like this. Uh, I think there was probably in the equities at least two good trade signals that I saw. But if you look at them and continue to look at them and try to fabricate trade ideas, uh, I could make a case to take a trade every second of the day. But if I'm waiting to see something that is repeatable, then I don't overtrade. It's part of the reason I scan multiple markets is because I'm looking for a signature, right? I'm not looking to say I'm a Nasdaq trader. Looking to Coach Paul, you said this the other day. There's opportunity in imbalance. Um,
Mhm.
as a trend trader. So I'm looking for an imbalance somewhere. When I'm trading this, the markets are imbalanced, and they've been imbalanced for the last, you know, however many days. Uh, so the over trading happens when you try to, especially if you're a trend trader, in my opinion, make sense of this. At the same time, if you're a range trader and or you're a scalper in this range, uh, I don't know how many points you may be looking for, but look at this overlap. These are 3 minute candles, and maybe I could zoom out, but they're, you know, barcoding leads to overtrading, I think, if you're a scalper. So uh, identify exactly what it is that you're looking to do to execute in the markets, and then determine whether or not the market is presenting an opportunity for you to execute that thing. Um, and if you're a trend trader and you're looking for a trend today, that might be why you got chopped up.
Yeah, and one I add one thing. That's one I started to, I've always looked for a way to follow volume, and working with Coach Jay has helped me a lot. You can teach an old dog new tricks, bark. Um, but
Dogs in the chat.
if you look at the volume, and you can start out to understand that it's light volume, it's lower than average volume. Beware. Don't. I looked at that. I made one trade. I was tempted to trade again, but with that kind of volume, it, there's no commitment. There's no, like as we talked about. There's no adults in the room. There's no institutional volume here. They're not playing the game. Who's playing the game then? Short term traders, which is kind of a pin the tail on a donkey kind of trade. Like, who's going to get stuck at the last moment here?
Right.
Um, so,
Uh,
but, just like volume can help you in that situation.
sure. JD129 has a question. Can we consider that a divergence? Price went up, volume went down. So yeah, right. If we look at a higher time frame, we had below average volume, but we made it the point where this volume average is skewed by this extreme volume we had over a couple of days. But if we're looking at a shorter time frame, there was a divergence. We talked about price going up, volume going down. That's what's called a non-validation of this move, right? Price is going up, volume is decreasing. Like we saw in platinum, you want to see volume increasing in the direction that you're going to, whether it's upside or downside, right? If the market's going down and I'm a seller, I don't want to see volume decrease. I want to see it increase, right? Because that's more people selling. So you want to see volume if you're a volume trader. You don't have to be, but you want to see that volume validate the move that you're seeing, or you get something like this where someone can just step in and sell it right back into the range that we were in. Uh, Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? We got about 15 minutes left. I think we got through most of the questions that we had. We didn't talk about crude oil. Uh,
Let's go give it a quick look.
Here it is on the daily. Let's pull up those moving averages. What are we looking at here?
Well, it's starting to curl down.
Yeah.
Um, Held at 20-day moving average. Um, couldn't hold the 50, got rejected hard yesterday. Um, Looks like back down to the bottom of that range. I'll change my mind if it can settle above the 50s, get it tested to 200. We finished at the low of the range, l- light volume. Um, there's not much more to make up there. It could
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
I can make something up. I'm not going to. Um, that's not even a dead cat. That's just a dead market.
Yeah. Coach, I was on opening call with Coach Ray and Hogue this morning, and we go through all the markets. And Hogue's, hey Ray, you go first. Jay, you go first on this one. And we got to crude oil, and he's like, all right, Jay, we'll start with you. What do you think? And the first thing I said was, I wish you went with Ray because I have nothing to say about this market. You know, even if you look at natural gas, right? I have a natural gas chart up here, and is it making the most directional moves right now? It isn't, but the percentages in natural gas are a lot bigger, right? We had a 10% move today. We had high to low a 5% move. Uh, there's opportunity in this market. So if I look at an energy market right now, for me, it's going to be nat gas, crude oil. I'm sorry, but it's just not a fun market to look at. Uh,
But I've moved on.
yeah, it's, yeah, it's not you, it's me,
Dear, it's not, yeah, dear crude.
right? Uh, Yeah, it's just not
We
a
had
fun
good
market to trade. If you
times.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
Speaking of manipulated markets, maybe, maybe not. But we're just, in all sincerity here, we're looking for opportunity, and it's
right.
not presenting great opportunity.
Yeah, we start the call every call with that, right? Our goal is to identify opportunity, take advantage of those opportunities. In identifying opportunities, you realize when something is dead, and crude is that thing right now. But if you're trading it, if you're a range bound trader, do what you do. But yeah, that's a tough one, tough sell. We had natural gas inventories out today. And on a shorter time frame, I just want to go to that inventories print specifically, where if you're not trading, and you can kind of do this with any market. We say all the time, be careful trading news and things like that, especially holding a position into a number. But let's say I know that a nat gas inventory number is coming out. I don't want to trade it before that, but I want to trade after effect of it. uh, Pretty nice short opportunity there, right? Attaching a VWAP to a newsprint, seeing how the market responds. We push up towards these highs, it rejects, and then you can kind of put the rest of your context, higher time frame
Uh-huh.
context into that. It's a pretty nice short. Why I like this is because if I know that inventory number comes out at 10:30 Eastern time, that whole first hour, if I'm struggling to find something in the equities, I just say, let me see if NetGas is presenting an opportunity. I got a short signal on this today. I did not take it, but you know, something you treat it like an opening range trade, exactly, Brad. Right, where we know that there's going to be a response to that print. You can do it with the WASD report in the ags. Um, treat that like, hey, this is a catalyst for the market. There's potential volume that's going to trade after it. It might present a quick trade. Now, the thing is, if I get in this short in natural gas and it presents 2.5% in 12 minutes, I got to remind myself, I don't know shit about natural gas. So I could want this to go much lower, but this is where Coach Paul, especially for your 2 to 1 on a day trade, is a great trade. I'm taking my money and I'm out. I don't want to have an opinion about where this market is going to go. I just want to trade what the chart says, take my money, and then I'm gone. Uh,
Yeah, just remember your opinion. Um, your broker will not take your opinion for margin. You're not trading opinions.
right.
You're trading money. um, and opinions, and I won't go like this is a family show. Uh, I'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that. When you study for the when studying for the series three, it says we are speculators, right? That's what we are here. We're not hedgers in this market. Our job is to speculate. Uh, in speculation, I'm making quick decisions. I don't care where this market goes. I just want to make a little bit of money from it, and you provide liquidity. That's your service to the markets when you're trading in a live account. All right. Okay.
And what else does it say? I just had to bring that up. Is we speculators get a bad rap and a
Right.
bad reputation. But there has been studies done without speculations, markets become more volatile.
Yes.
Long-term buyers and long-term sellers never meet. There has to be some grease between that. That's what speculators provide. When I used to run a very large farmer co-op execution group at the Chicago Board of Trade, 800 grain elevator operators as a co-op. And I've spent time on my uncle's farm. I'm a big fan of farmers. I just and I used to do presentations, and this is really it was a learning experience. Is whenever prices were getting crushed, who got the blame? Speculators.
Hmm.
And but then I asked them in a group. I go, are those the same speculators when the prices are rising rapidly? Do you blame them? Here's the bottom line. We talk about balance and imbalance. Speculators cannot create an imbalance on themselves. That type of manipulation, someone mentioned the Hunt brothers, ends in disasters. I've done extensive study on this.
Hmm.
They can't. Big moves happen for big reasons in commodities. Either there's a shortage and the end user has to pay up, or there's an oversupply and the market goes down. It's supply and demand. It's much more prevalent in commodities than it is in equities.
Right.
So without speculators,
Markets
markets
don't move,
have to
or
markets,
they
yeah,
move
they have
wildly.
wildly. It's much more volatility.
Right.
So I had to put that out there.
Good point, Coach Paul. I made a comment that I said, and this was a while ago. I said that market makers and bigger market participants use retail to move the markets, and someone was like, "This guy's an idiot." The big buyer and the big seller are usually the same person. Uh, they're just playing the game, letting us play the game in the middle. All right. Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? We got 6 minutes left.
So speaking of grains, let's bring up the soybeans.
A nice one today.
Yeah. Yeah, and speak of gaps, got filled tonight. It left from last night. Um,
Oh wow.
I don't know why that happened. Doesn't really matter. Frame that opening out.
The soybeans does not open at the same time as everything else. It opens at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can see these 2 hours. This candle right here is 8 p.m. Uh, wow.
Yeah. I and yeah. Wow. Now, yeah. But let's look at the daily.
Let's take a look at the daily. Do we use API access?
Frozen. Yeah, I bet
Come
you
on, come
there's a.
back, back. Still doing a show.
Yeah, we got to get that solved. What about at the buzzer?
It's coming back. Yeah, come
Where's
on,
the
guys.
love?
Where's the love for us? It'll be back.
Well, let's just put it. It's above the 200 and the 200 on the daily. It's flattened. and we're going sideways. It's friendly action. Um, don't get short in the hole. That was my lesson. I'm kind of friendly to it. Um, but we're not going to get it, are we?
Nah, I'm hitting the refresh button over here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Here's the daily.
We've been above it for about a month now.
Look at
We're
this. Look at
above
this
the.
right here.
Yeah, you know what date that was. Um, and now let's frame that out. And if we get above that, we're above the 20, we're above the 50, we're above the 200. We've been, we have sideways action, picking up momentum to the upside, and there's the rocket. Um, Friendly action.
Yeah. That looks pretty bullish. Right, that 20 moving average on the daily channeling upwards, holding up the markets a little bit here. As Coach Hoop a seasonality question this morning. He said, looking at the grains coming into the summer, uh, and this was a pretty nice trade today. I don't know how many traders we have trading soybeans, but look at the. I know you said, Coach Paul, a lot of times you're looking at the equity open time, 8:30 Central, uh, for the open.
Hmm.
Technicals apply wherever you apply them. Here's our 3-minute opening range. We left the range. That was your trade there. We don't want to make it seem this simple, right? We cover a lot of different markets, but I think the one major thing is you know the same approach to all of these different markets, right? Where you can really just say a chart is a chart. Uh,
Is it simple?
apply,
Let's look at last night on the opening on in soybeans. And we talk about a gap. I
yeah.
was I was kind of stunned by it. I don't know what the news was. Look at how flat. See now, well, I will bring that up. There's not the sellers are not in control anymore.
Hmm.
There was a selling event on an opening.
Yep.
What did they get for it? I mean, we
1050.
finished 1050. There's bids down there. Anyway, a market that has potential to rally even more, maybe start a trend to the upside.
There we go. All right, good stuff. We got about 2 minutes left, Coach Paul. Any other markets you want to talk about, or any final words before we go
Final
and
words. Be careful tomorrow. As in every day, it's pres, preservation Friday. To me, it's any day that ends in Y. Um, but you don't have to trade. You can take a 4-day weekend. If you've been struggling, don't press. Maybe take this time just to get some rest emotionally, mentally, physically, and get ready for next week.
there we go. Good stuff, Coach Paul. We're not done here on Top Step TV. We got Coach Hoop doing a class in Discord in about 15 minutes. Then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time. That is all in Discord. Then we have Slow Markets tonight with Dakota. Baron's going to be joining him. That's 7:30 Central. Aaron with the London Open at 1:30 a.m. Central Time. D is off for the Euro trade because tomorrow is Friday. He enjoys her weekends. So thank you everybody for joining. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you all joining us every day that you do. Even if you watch us on the replays, seen some traders say that it's like, hey, I got to pick up my kids. You guys are doing this show, but we watch you guys as the morning prep. It's pretty cool. So thank you everyone for joining. Like Coach Paul said, trade well, manage your risk, preserve yourself and your capital. We will talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks, Coach. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Bye.